Gotham City Sirens. Yeah, that's right, folks. We have a new iteration of this book to talk about. This is a 4-issue miniseries coming to us from Leah Williams, and art by a few artists. The primary one is Matteo Loli, and it kind of just came out of nowhere, which I guess that makes sense. It's a weird era for DC right now. They're kind of like switching over to like their absolute era, their all in era. So the Dawn of DC stuff is just kind of here doing its thing. But we have 4 issues of Gotham City Sirens. I wasn't going to cover this book, but then I was like, I read the first issue and I'm like, oh, there's actually some stuff we have to talk about in here. And I think it's very fascinating. If you're like inundated in like modern DC stuff, and by modern DC stuff, I mean like the COVID era stuff when some of these characters, Punchline, were introduced. Because it's so weird. This book is really weird. I don't know why it exists. If I had to guess, it'd be because they teased Gotham City Sirens being the thing they do in the Harley Quinn TV show. And because Kelly Thompson's Birds of Prey is really good. So I figured like a combination of brand synergy for our successful cartoon and our other female-led superhero team is very strong. Does anybody have a pitch they can throw to us for Gotham City Sirens? Leah Williams was like, yeah, okay. What if I made the biggest parody book ever to be created? I think it's a parody. You cannot look at this without it being a comedy. If you look at this as a serious take on these characters, it doesn't work. The artists that we have working on this book, they're not artists you would do for like a serious take on a book. It's very comedic. It's very satirical. It's very edgy and modern in this very specific tone. And it's very strange. It's a very weird take. So who is our team of the Gotham City Sirens this time around? It is Catwoman, it is Harley Quinn, it is Poison Ivy, and it is White Rabbit. You know, your favorite characters from Gotham. And they are realizing that men are acting weird in Gotham City, and even animals are acting weird. Because somebody has done more than poison the, reservoir like the Joker would do. This time around, somebody has created a really scary like energy drink that incels and like influencer fans are going to be drinking, and they're going to like get brainwashed to being freaks for this one person. It is all the modern tropes you could imagine, and that's why it is so much this comedy. It is making fun of Prime Energy, like the drink that Logan Paul, shills to everybody. It's making fun of like influencers and streamers, and it's doing that through this book's villain, which is a character who is an insane character to talk about. Punchline. Hey, do you remember Punchline? Do you remember when they tried to make like another version of Harley Quinn, but like for the modern era? Well, she's back, and she sits in a little inflatable bathtub, and she wears a bikini, and she live streams to her male audience while she pretends she's playing video games, and she kills real people. And she's using that to gain support from wealthy assholes to sell her drink and make men into her army. It's crazy. And I'm like, this is hilarious and exactly what this character should be. I know some people are like, can't we do more with Punchline? You shouldn't. This is it. This is as far as you should go for the Punchline character. There is nothing to her. And when you make her the joke like this, where she is calling everybody a skank or calling everybody a whore, it really highlights just how strong our older characters are. There is kind of a metatextual commentary that, like, these characters all suck, new characters are bad when we introduce them to DC. Like, part of that is like, okay, shut the fuck up for a second, Punchline. Let real people handle a situation. Another part's like, isn't it stupid how we let this run rampant for such a long time? It's all handled fine. I don't think it's like a particularly like brilliant book. It's engaging. It has keywords that this demographic would say. We use phrases and sentences that you'd hear from this generation. And Leah Williams, she's not like an old writer, so I guess it makes sense that she's got her, finger on the pulse of what people are talking about, I guess. Especially with Punchline. Man, I love when, like, we let somebody else write Punchline. I feel like some female writers would be hesitant or, like, want to change how we perceived Punchline. But when people just understand, this sucks. She sucks. Lean into it. I think that's great. Now, I don't think this book is like particularly special. It plays with a bunch of the themes that these characters like. It handles Poison Ivy really well. I think she comes out the best out of any of the characters in this. I think White Rabbit is interesting to follow and kind of goes in some weird ways. It's not like a, digression of Harley Quinn's character, but we really amp up a very specific version of the character to have her behave a certain way. And I think Selina Kyle just doesn't really get much to do. She's kind of like the headstrong one, and that makes sense. The artwork can be very hit or miss, I think, depending on what you're interested in seeing from these characters. It is very fun and loose, but it's got a very jagged energy to it. I think especially in the faces, there's a very angular look. And that's just not what I'm used to seeing from these characters. Not that it's bad. It's just a very different interpretation of how we make these characters look and feel. And that could be distracting or different than what we're used to seeing. But I do overall think this was a really interesting read. I think it is satisfying enough where it's going in directions you might not be expecting. It's talking about modern stuff you're not expecting. And it handles a terrible character in a brilliant way. Where it's like, if this is what this character is going to be, this is what this character should be. I respect it so much for that, for doing that effort of making Punchline the worst. Because she's the worst, and that's how you should treat her. So I do appreciate that. That worked for the most part. For a Gotham City Sirens book, well, we don't really spend a lot of time in Gotham. So that's kind of a thing too. But you know what? 4 issues, get these characters out there in different ways. Harley Quinn's very prominent. She's got her own book going on. She is in the Birds of Prey book. So if she's selling, she's selling. I got no issues with that. Even Poison Ivy actually has her own book going on that's doing really well. So it's really exciting. It's nice to see that we're doing some fun stuff with these characters. I'm digging it. Even if the book's very spotty at times, overall, it does work. So, Gotham City Sirens, I am going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.